Many of us starseeds feel really isolated from the outside world and even want to keep ourselves isolated from that world. What we also feel is that as healers, we we don't have many clients, or when we want to charge clients, we don't feel like we want to charge them very much. And there's so many other things as healers that I feel that we have these wounds. And I went in to ask my guides and ask my consciousness to get us solutions for this, because there's a piece of the jigsaw missing, piece missing when we feel like this. And the message I got from the guides was, well, Julie, when you're working in a frequency of lack of, you're telling the earth, you're telling the world that you are separated from it. So it's like it's your fault. It's you're causing it. You are feeling separated from it. So this is what we're going to discuss on this week's podcast of Shifting Realities with me, your host Julie, and my co-host and friend Rob. Okay, so yeah,
Right.
this was the biggest answer I got. Now it can be a bit convoluted. You can be a bit it can be a bit confusing for you, and you have to understand and decipher what the guides are actually telling you when they say to you, Julie, yes, you're working in lack of, and that means you're pushing things away, or you're actually feeling that you are separated from it. So there's you, Julie, here in your frequency, and money is at arm's reach, or even beyond that, for instance, or friends that you might want. Maybe you're looking to go to more meetings or find more friends, but you're saying things to yourself. You're creating your own spells that create that separation from it. And so much of this is in relationships. The same with clients. How many of us are we saying, well, I don't have enough clients, I haven't got clients? That's creating the separation from it, instead of going back to consciousness and understanding how in actual fact the reality is that we are all one. So we need to really work from this oneness. So how do you feel, Rob? When both of us have heard about, other healers charging
Hmm.
people, and there's differences, isn't there, in this world, in terms of,
Absolutely.
mm,
Absolutely. I remember when I started working this as a business
mm,
and going into, okay, so what am I going to charge? And then you go through the moral thing about what am I worth?
yes,
what have I got to offer and
yeah,
how do I value that? And then I looked at it from, okay, so what is my time worth and how do I value my time?
mm,
And you arrive at something that you think is fair for what you're doing. And fair for what you're doing generally sells yourself a bit short.
it does.
Because you always sort of err on the side of course you go, well, okay, I'll knock a tenner off that, you know.
Yeah,
And I'm a great believer as well in giving, so I try to give free sessions when I can
yeah,
fit them in. If I feel someone has a real need and a real desire to do the work and can't doesn't have the resource, then I'll happily step in at either a reduced rate or I'll do it for nothing,
mm, mm,
because surely that's part of why we're here, is to help broadly. But the whole issue of lack, I think, affects spiritual people and starseed spiritual people particularly. And I think it starts with being a starseed.
yes,
So you come from this reality of where you need nothing because you have everything.
yes,
There are no
absolutely.
requirements, and suddenly, wham bam, you're born into this human existence where it's all about what have I got, and you're evaluated and judged on what you've got all through your life. How clever are you at school, which probably is going to relate back to how much money do your parents have and
Mm,
what school can they afford to put you in and what's their emotional response to education. And that, all these things that set early in your life spiral on and
absolutely.
become greater and greater. And when you are half a star seed in terms of your sort of your thinking and your grounding, it's really hard because you pick up on this lack and you try to understand the lack, and it's quite hard to, because you don't know what lack is really,
Yeah, how do you
just that you
define
haven't
it? What are
got
you
something.
defining? What are you
Yeah,
defining from it?
absolutely. So you think, oh, my house doesn't have enough bedrooms, or I have failed.
Yes.
or whatever. My business hasn't taken. Where are my clients? This is all failing.
Mm.
So you take on entirely the wrong message because you allow yourself to go into that lack, this 3D lack. I don't have enough, without realizing that you are then creating the lack yourself. So I don't have enough because I have cut myself off from understanding it. I've cut myself off from my origin as a starseed, where I know that whatever I want is provided and that
Yes.
I never need lack.
Yes.
But also as a starseed, you chose to come here and learn this lesson.
Absolutely. That's the
True.
one. That's
So
one of the main things.
yeah, you chose the family, you chose the environment, you chose the circumstances. I mean, why did I choose to be born into a working class family in Leeds?
Yes.
I hopefully I'll find that answer one day. And why did I choose that life of lack? In terms of parents
Mm,
not having much. I never went without, but there was never much. So there was always a sense of other people around me have got more. What's this about? And
exactly.
it's quite a late in life thing for me to go, actually, I'm okay.
Mm,
I've
yeah.
got what I need. You know,
Yeah.
I really do. I have a home, a relationship. I have friends. What more do I want? And probably quite a lot, really, because I still haven't shed my 3D desire to have things.
Oh, yes, and that's
Yeah,
okay. That's absolutely okay because it's the
absolutely.
pursuit of, wanting more. But,
Mm,
again, it can be more in the terms it's just a reflection of who you are as you expand your whole being, the wholeness of you, as you
yeah.
expand your multidimensionality. Having stuff on earth is absolutely okay because it's just part of being with you and part of having, we all need food, water, a roof,
Hmm.
over our heads. Having a choice of which roof over your head is absolutely okay because it shouldn't feel like it has any meaning. So associating the money side or having stuff, shouldn't associate with the more stuff I have, or yeah, the more stuff I have, that I'm better than you, which also came
Yeah.
into came to play. Rob said about school, yeah, even now, I spoke to a client the other day, and one of the things they said was, the their son had to do well at school, or they have to do very, very well at school. Otherwise, they won't get on in life. They won't get far
Hmm.
in life. Where on earth did we pick up that? Um, because I can tell you now, those, all the people that I knew did well at school and went to university are certainly not doing any better than any of us that just left school, like me, got absolutely no qualifications, or just got a few qualifications. That is not true. So why do we keep insisting on creating this version of children that, you've got to compete with people, you've got to only be good in academic things. See how it's starting to form. Those thought forms are forming in, from a child of, if I don't do well,
Hmm.
I'll be inferior, an inferior being, and that's how we start to, suppress, have those suppressive feelings and understand that expansiveness. So really, what the guides are telling us here are, your expansiveness is, you as a whole being, and you do not want for anything as a whole being. And this comes, the only way I can describe the feeling or get you to understand the feeling is if you yourself go into a deep meditation and go into, as we always say, go within. And we've always,
Yeah.
I don't know if people quite get that, but when you start going within your body to ask these questions, you can move beyond the humanness and start to understand these things that, when Rob and I first started out, we used to do these lovely meditations. We had them ourselves, and then we received them ourselves, and then we would give our clients, when you first start out the meditation, to go and sit on a park bench and meet your soul or meet your high self. And those are absolutely fantastic when you're setting out. And then when you go a bit more than that, and a bit expansive than that, and a bit more multidimensional than that, you start understanding, I am. I am my higher self. I am my soul. I am source. Yeah, the guides are part of who I am as well, and that there just is no separation with anything. So can you see from that? That means you have everything, and you have nothing at the same time. When you really, really work into that in a meditative state, in just sitting in the stillness, that's when you really start to understand. And when you're listening to these words of the you are separating yourself when you create a version of you that's in lack. Understand the opposite to that is when you go into meditation and have that knowledge, that huge knowledge that as source, you have everything. And all you're doing is going, I'm just going to play this game on earth. Let's plonk myself as a human on earth, and let's have all these traumas and all these thought forms and all these beliefs, and then let's play around with them and let's see what we do as humans. And when you understand that, you can understand and move away, almost shift instantly to the fact that everything is trauma, everything is just a story that you're repeating in a repeated pattern over and over again. So the guys actually, Rob, want to remind me now that every thought form is your creation. Every
Yeah.
thought form creates your external world.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking? What is everybody thinking right now? Yeah, literally, that's how we understand we are the creations of our world as a collective, but more than that, individually. So even even things like going on to working as a healer with other healers, we already have, it's already occurred. We've already had those clients come to us, even though we don't realize that, in the future, we've already had those clients come to us. They've already contracted with us. So it's almost like we're saying we don't even have to have those worries about it. That feels a little bit. Do you understand what I mean, Rob? It feels a little bit
Yeah.
like out
No, of
there with
course.
what the guides
Yeah.
are telling me to literally move ourselves away from this humanness and the worry, the worry of, and this, I can't afford this because
Yes.
um, I'll only be able to pay for this when this thing happens, when this
Yeah.
conditioned thing happens. Has that ever happened for you, Rob? Again, you as growing up like like this, well, like we all
Yeah.
have with our parents. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't want for anything, but what I realised late on, only just in the last few months, is that there was a guilt feeling because I didn't want for anything, but it left almost my parents in, we'll
Hmm.
give them everything they want, everything for Christmas, buy things, use money, but where is the money going to come from? It's a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
money. So there was still, even just having everything that you want, if you're still creating that frequency of, but I feel guilty if I charge somebody, I feel guilty if I do this for, without doing it for nothing.
Yeah.
People make me feel guilty for nothing. That again
Yeah.
is the separation and the not understanding that that person making me is only a reflection of what my vibration is giving out to everybody else.
Absolutely. That sense of lack stays with people all their lives, doesn't it?
Mm,
And I remember, I mean, my mother died not very long ago,
mm,
and my mother was always incredibly frugal because she
mm,
grew up
mm.
through the war, never had much. My father died when I was young, so she battled to bring the three of us up. All fully understandable. I get it. But towards the end of her life, she was okay. She was quite comfortable.
Yeah.
And we
Mm.
kept saying to her as a family, treat yourself, have some nice things, go somewhere, do something you want to do. And she never would because it was always about, no, I have to leave it for you.
Ah, yeah. Still
And,
thinking about other people.
absolutely. And we didn't need it
Yeah, that's
particularly,
it. Yeah.
you know. So it really bothered me because she would never do anything for herself
Mm,
at
mm,
all. She would never spend the money that she had and make her life better because it was like, oh no, I did it for you.
Mm.
So there's a slight degree of Yorkshire martyrdom in there. You'll know what I mean.
Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. Both of us
But yeah,
originating
absolutely.
from Yorkshire.
The real stoicism there.
Yeah.
That's this odd thing that I can't live my life fully because I have to give to other people.
Mm.
And it's nice to give to other people. Of course, it's lovely, and I hope that when my turn comes to shuffle off, I've got something to leave to my
Yeah.
extended family.
Yeah.
Um, but if I don't, I don't.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Really, if I don't, I don't. So when I give a free session, the only caveat I would give is to myself now, and that is when you give free sessions, you quite often don't get the response back you need to work.
Mm. Mm.
You get a lack of commitment.
Yes.
You get the person who's really asked for it and you thought, yeah, of course I'll give you this, then doesn't show up
Yes.
or shows up
True.
late
Yes.
or, any number of scenarios here. And
Mm.
quite often it's a frustrating process and you don't achieve what you had really hoped to achieve.
Yeah.
Result,
Yeah.
I give less now than I used to.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Same here.
that's the way it goes, I'm afraid. And when someone brings that resource of money or energy, as we like to call it,
Mm.
into the scenario. So we're going to work and we're going to exchange. I'm going to give you my energy and you're going to give me energy back in the shape of money.
Yeah.
Then something different happens because intention is there. But you still get people who don't listen, who
Mm.
don't go away, don't do the work, and then come back 2 weeks later or however long, going, oh, I still don't get it. I still haven't got this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still lack this. And it's always about lack.
Absolutely.
Whatever the lack might be, that could be self-doubt, lack of self-confidence,
Mm-hmm.
not just material things. And
Mm.
normally it isn't material. Normally it is, I am not spiritual. I have not found my path. What is my
Mm.
path? Help me. And yeah, I'd love to. Really, really would love to. But you have to bring to the party
Mm.
and then do your homework and bring it back. Otherwise, we're not going to get anywhere.
Mm.
So it goes back to I think what I said at the beginning. You come in as this star seed. So your head is not just in the clouds, your head is in the cosmos, but
Yes.
your body's decidedly 3D.
It is.
And you
Yes.
spend a long time trying to sort of get the two to talk to each other
Mm.
properly
Mm.
and to understand that there is no lack unless you create the separation in your own life. Like, I can't have that. I don't deserve that because my parents didn't deserve that or didn't have that. So why should I have that?
Yeah.
And pick your scenario as to what lack you feel you have.
Mm.
Inevitably, they will go back to ancestral wounds.
Mm.
Sometimes they're cosmic wounds. There can be all sorts of wounds,
Oh,
but
yes.
they're all healable with the simple understanding that you have no reason to lack.
Mm.
The universe has you.
Yeah. Has everything. You
You
have
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Mm.
you're part of it. You came with everything. You'll
Mm.
leave with everything. And this little earthly journey is, 7 score years and 10. It's just a bit of a bumpy ride in the process.
Mm.
And if you
It is.
don't have, so if you don't have two cars outside your front door, honestly, who cares?
Mm.
If you only have one bathroom and a small kitchen, who cares? These things don't matter. What matters is, what are you? Who are you and what are you doing with yourself? Are
Mm.
you manifesting what you're supposed to manifest in this life? Are you learning? Are you traveling? Are you passing that on to other people? Are you part
Mm.
of this movement to New Earth that we're
Yeah.
trying to lead people to? That's what matters.
Mm.
And if you go at life with that intention, you will not go without.
Mm.
You'll never be left without.
Yeah. It is
I
what
promise.
we've actually found with lack of is more to do with our, or more avoidance, a
Yeah.
refusal to actually actually be responsible for our multidimensional self, actually be responsible for finding out and then embodying and embracing and being our wholeness, our multidimensional selves. And the reason I keep saying that is because once you start understanding and finding who you are as well as just being human and working into who am I as higher self, who am I as source, and not really asking the question, well, who is my source, who is soul? What's soul look like? Da, da, da. You know, what does everything look like when, you know, we don't really use our eyes in that sense, beyond the 3D anyway. So until we really embrace all that is, all of us that are not separated, but all of our wholeness, that I'd say is when you start to really heal. Um, if we go into, say, the money side, for instance, and we still say, you know, I can still hear people going, yes, but I haven't got money, you know, I can't get the money. Money means everything. I've got to be in this other job. And that's quite true as a 3D. But is that true as a whole self? Of what, you know, of what you're doing. So that does not mean anything about what's going on in the 3D now. That's another thing that we're doing. We still continue to look outside of ourselves and say, look, this is the scenario. But just remember that's the scenario that you've created from a whole range of things, from your whole life of frequencies to creating this now frequency that's creating your outside life, which actually means in an instance you can change it. In an instance, you can start understanding and embodying your wholeness, your whole self. Um, Again, we've got almost the opposite way to this of people going on courses, haven't we, Rob? Or
Hmm.
people seeing us as individuals. You were saying something earlier, weren't you, about people going on many, many courses, and there's
Yeah.
still a piece of the jigsaw puzzle missing. A lot of us will say that all the time, don't
A
we?
lot of us chase modalities. You know, we've spoken
Yeah,
about this a lot in this
yeah.
podcast. We chase modalities because we're looking for answers. You
Mm,
know, we're hoping it will trigger a switch in us that releases this amazing healing potential, and we're on our way. We're going to be deeply spiritual people helping the world, and then that doesn't quite happen. So you look for another one after a while.
mm,
And I've often observed on these courses, a lot of the people on them can't really afford to be on them
yeah.
because
Hmm.
they have gone into the lack cycle.
Yes. Hmm.
I don't have. Therefore, if I can just scrape through and get this course, and maybe they'll give me a bit off the course so I can afford to do it,
Mm,
great for the course runners. That's lovely. But then maybe I'll fix my lack and this will all get better. And they end up in a spiral of having less and less. And your spiritual awareness, I think, erodes to some degree when you do this, and the triggers don't happen.
mm.
You know, you do a course for 3 weeks or whatever it might be, and you come out of it and you feel great for about an hour. Then by the
Yes.
time you've got home, you go, and then you try to practice it, and there's sort of nothing there.
Yes, yes.
And we've all been there. We've all experienced that.
And
And
then we
anybody
give
that says they
give
haven't
up.
is telling you a very big porcupine.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes. And sometimes you find something that does trigger you and does start to work, and then you
Mm,
start your journey.
mm,
Great. So I'm not saying you shouldn't do these things. I'm just saying you should do them with care, and I think you should not use them to plug the gaps. So
mm.
not use them as blank bits of the jigsaw.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
find the right bit of the jigsaw. And you know, Julie, if you do jigsaws, I don't, but
I do.
did as a kid.
Lots of
Okay.
jigsaws. Mm,
Sometimes you really get stuck with the jigsaw and you can't find a piece you need.
yeah.
Then 2 days later, you go, oh, there it is. You pick it up, and suddenly 20 other pieces you want attach themselves to it. And you go, aha, that's finished that bit. Now let's look at this bit over here.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the journey, is finding the right piece of the jigsaw and putting it in the right place. Not finding any piece of the jigsaw and trying to force it into a hole that's there
Yes,
in the hopes
that's
that
not
that will
does not
solve the
exist.
problem. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Or trying
work.
to
Yeah,
find a piece and it actually fits another jigsaw. It's not the
absolutely.
same
And
jigsaw.
if you're anything like me as well, I was always, I remember, separate out the edge bits and do the edge
Yes,
and
yes,
then
I
fill
do
it in,
now. Yes.
which I think is quite a good analogy because you need the framework.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So put
To
the
fill all the
framework in.
pieces in.
It's like building a house, you have to build foundations, otherwise it will fall down.
Yes. Yes.
So put the frame around the jigsaw and then fill in the bits.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, they do fall on the floor and they do go up the vacuum.
All
You
those
know,
little bits that test us, challenge us. Yeah.
absolutely. The dog may well eat one. You don't know what's
Yes.
going to happen to that jigsaw,
Yeah.
but you just persevere. And you know, you and I, Julie, will get to the end of our 3D lives, and our spiritual jigsaw will probably
Mm.
not be complete.
No, there'll still
Yeah,
be
I'd
many
love to think it
layers.
would be, but it won't be because we are always going to be looking for things
Mm. Mm.
and always just getting those light bulb moments or jigsaw pieces, however you want to call them.
Yes.
I go, okay, that fits there. That's great. Now I know that. So I'm stronger now.
Yeah.
Go back to the jigsaw. If you don't build the jigsaw coherently, it's quite weak. And if you try to move it out the way gently, slide, it falls apart. If you build it and you finish an area,
Mm,
that area then becomes strong and the jigsaw becomes strong and you can
yeah.
move it or shift it sideways. So you can shift your reality if the foundations
Yes.
are strong, I
Yes.
suppose is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and as
Uh,
we
yeah,
fill in more pieces, we see the bigger picture. Like Rob said, one minute you
mm,
can't see what you're putting in, and then you suddenly see a wholeness in something. You'll see, maybe it's a picture of an elephant. You'll start seeing all the pieces of the elephant form together to make the elephant shape. And that's exactly
yeah,
what we're doing with life. As you start to build on those jigsaw pieces, filling them in, you get the bigger picture, and you start getting a bigger picture of really understanding and embodying, this is what it's about. This is what I mean to do with this. Because I don't know about you, but I do get people who come for healing session, and
yeah,
yes, you can see that maybe they can only afford one session and don't like to have multiple sessions. What unfortunately you can get with that, if somebody doesn't quite know about it, it's like somebody going to every, many healers, 10 different healers all at once, all in the same month. And that, then is big, it becomes where, that's fine, money is no object. But what they're doing is putting their trust in the healer because they're lacking in the understanding, again, another lack of, in just thinking that the human aspect, and going to other healers, which is great because other healers can fill in some of the jigsaw puzzle, but all they're doing is handing you the puzzle, handing
yeah,
you the piece as a puzzle. You have to actually be the one to put it into the core of the puzzle. So you have to be the one, like I said before, to embody and embed and embrace and activate and then take action on and all these things to shift the reality from the lack of frequency version of you into this whole abundant version of you, abundance in every way, which then means it doesn't matter where you are, on earth, which place, which, what building you're in, what house you're in, where you go, you're always feeling abundant. And don't get me wrong, I was actually, in all honesty, I'm not there yet because we're still learning, but most of the time I can watch other people and just be, quite an observer of things and not be into their lack of, and understand that it's their lack of. Why am I not always butting in saying, oh, you're just working from lack of, you've got to do this? Is because they might not be ready to listen to that as well. So I also understand that even though I have this innate thing, this calling inside of me that I want to heal the world, like all of us starseeds and healers do have. We want to heal the world. First and foremost, I'm listening out for what I need to heal inside me. So again, just a little example of this, and an example that even could be towards if there's something physically wrong with you. Having something physical wrong, like a pain in a leg or something like that, might not actually be something that's a physical issue. It might be, for instance, I was, I've said before, sort of bullied at school, and so that carried on into my working life. And several years ago, maybe seven, no, we're getting on for more, maybe 2012, 14, when I was still finding myself, as we say, and starting to understand that there's another side to us, if you like, or a multitude of side to us. I started to find other healers. I wouldn't have known there were star seeds at the time, and started to feel safe in their presence. But then I started to work with them, and what happened was, in particular, one I worked with in particular did actually start bullying me. It didn't happen right away, but as time went on, uh, I'm just gonna say right now that universe is saying, or my guides are saying about universal flow. What I was still doing was stopping the flow of me being a healer, and so this person was bullying me, but it was a beautiful gift because all it was again another reflection on me. It wasn't about, oh, this person's a starseed, I feel safe, and we can chat about starseed stuff or healing stuff. We all heal in different ways, and sometimes those people that we think are okay, and it's you just have to discern. There's people that we think are okay just here to actually help you understand. You need a little bit more healing, you need another piece of the jigsaw, and that could help the physical aspect. For me, the physical aspect was after I sort of just kind of really just walked away from it all, understanding that that wasn't for me. That scenario, I was no longer tolerant and would no longer stand for somebody else bullying me. I had a lot more energy after that and understood that I was just being, my energy was just being suffocated and suppressed, even as a healer, not at that point, not understanding what was really happening in the energy. And you can see that a lot more. And that can actually sometimes help your physical aspects. So if you're somebody who keeps going to lots of other healers because they've got something physical wrong with them, and you know that it's energetic, but stop giving that, kind of feeling the separation, the lack of, and the separation, that you're the inferior one, that they can't, that they are the ones that are going to do, like wave the magic wand and heal. If they're not sending you away with tools to help yourself, that's another aspect of, it's that kind of working with the old fashioned new age that, as Rob and I have done in many podcasts before, is saying that, somebody in the new age might think they're superior to you and you don't know um, anything else and can only heal when you go to them. I've seen it lots of times.
Mm.
So that's another way of lack of, is that you're lacking the confidence. You're just self-sabotaging. That, as Rob said, is all lack of. Yeah. Do you have anything else to say on that, Rob?
No, I think just really let's bring it back. That
Yeah.
let's go to the jigsaw.
Yeah.
Before you come into this 3D life, the jigsaw is done. The jigsaw is made
Yes. Yes.
and is never broken up. But
Yes.
at your moment of birth, you jiggle all those pieces as you
Yes.
arrive in the 3D, and you've got to rebuild it.
Mm.
So you start with the edge bits and then you start to fill it in, as we talked about, until hopefully you have the picture back as you leave this earth and go back to your
Mm.
true self. So it's just simply remembering that you are already complete. You are whole. You don't need anything
Mm. Mm.
if you just trust who you truly are and the multiple possibilities of you,
Mm.
because there is nothing that needs limit you except 3D angst.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we have plenty of psychologists who can help us with 3D angst and
Yes.
explain away
And
things that,
keep it going. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So if ever you feel this way and you want to help yourself, just get back inside yourself
Mm.
and remember who you are.
Mm.
Remember who you were and remember who you will be, which might seem strange. Remember who you will be. But there is memory of all these things because they all exist all the
Yeah.
time.
Mm.
And this 3D world has caused you to separate from it
Mm.
because you need to learn a series of lessons to feed back into that energy.
Mm.
So do the work that you came here to do as best you can. Never beat yourself up about it, but always remember you are absolutely fine as you are.
Mm. Yes.
Just please,
Genius.
if anybody's listened this far, take that away with you.
Mm.
You are fine. You are perfect. You are as you are
Yeah.
meant to be.
Yeah. Don't keep
Yeah,
thinking everything needs fixing. It's already fixed. You're just having to fix it. Fix it in the way that you think.
absolutely. Yeah, if you
Go.
want to take a hot air balloon ride,
Mhm.
you have to let go of the ballast bag by bag so that your
Yeah.
hot air balloon can rise. And this is the experience of life, isn't it, Jilly?
Yeah.
You just have to, here you are as a 3D human with this lovely cloud of hot air above you that is your spiritual self. But if you don't unload the baggage of the 3D life, the balloon does
Mm.
not lift.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just start chucking your ballast over the edge of the basket and off you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And just absolutely understand, who you are in
Yeah,
totality. I mean, it's hard to explain, but the wonderful feeling that you get when you do go within of who We all are, because we're all as one, the wonderful human being you are. When we talk about embodying it and not feeling the lack of, is also about just taking that leap, absolutely taking that leap. A warrior never does anything on their own. If you lack friends, if you lack money, go and take that leap to go to it yourself. Again, I've just said go to it. That still feels a separation, but go and make your friends yourself. Make that whole, fill that jigsaw puzzle in with your friends. You do something about it. Don't wait for something thinking, oh, when I feel like this, then I might get friends. No, it doesn't work like that. That's the bit we're talking about, the understanding of who you are, wholeness, everything's already been done. All of this, it's still dependent on in 3D of you taking action and doing these things yourself. Being a leader, leading out, saying, helping people heal is all about actually stepping up, from the ordinary to the extraordinary, if you want to call it that, to being this expanded being. Yeah. And just understanding absolutely, how to work and how to manipulate everything in the good way, in an absolute
Yeah,
good way, to get to where you already are, where you already have been all along. All we're doing is playing a game to get back to where we were and who
yeah,
we are in the first place.
yeah.
And on that
So
note, yeah,
yeah, long, convoluted journey, but
it
it's a lot
is.
of fun.
It is. We
Yeah,
make it fun knowing that this
yeah,
is the nice illusion and
yeah,
this is a game and we can, change the programming in that game. If you have a game of lack of, why not change that program? Why not use the tools? We have loads of tools. Use a tool to all those tools to change that programming to
yeah,
create the world of abundance. And so many opportunities open for you in that. Okie doke. On that note, we will
yeah,
leave it there and we will see you next week. We very much appreciate if you download, subscribe, like all of
yeah.
our, wherever you're
Absolutely.
listening or watching this. Rob and I so much appreciate it. And please, if you know anybody else, please share this information with them. Okay, we will see you next week.